As immigrants to this country, sometimes we don't know any other place. Being raised here, there is nowhere else we can go. Some of us answer a call to service for the place that has seen us grow up. So what do we do after all our sacrifice in military service? Where a single mistake, an unreasonable happenstance, or just wrong place at the wrong time situation puts you on the other side of the judicial system. Today, I am joined by a fellow service member who has experienced firsthand what can happen, not to just a legal resident of the United States, but an honorable member of the U.S. military. After the military, a prison sentence, and facing deportation, we follow along in his journey, fighting to be able to return back to the United States, not just for himself, but for our other fellow deported brothers and sisters. En Mi Comunidad. So coming back to the ESL sessions, En Mi Comunidad, in my community, there's a lot to be said about what one as an immigrant does to be able to sacrifice for his family, but as well as what one does to be able to sacrifice for his country. In this episode, I want to touch on a very particular subject that a lot of people really don't know about, and my guest is actually a very special guest, not only because he is a veteran and was an active duty service member of the United States military like myself, but also because he is currently going through a very rigorous situation that you would not expect and probably have not really heard as much in the common day-to-day life of what occurs in the United States, especially when it comes to the subject of immigration and deportation. So to get it started, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself to our guests?
Hey, thank you, Jonathan, for having me on here. My name's Ivan Ocon. I'm a deported veteran. I served in the U.S. Army from 97 to 04, deployed for Operation Iraqi Freedom in 03, and was deported in 2016. And now I currently reside in Juarez, Mexico, and as well, I'm fighting to come back to the States, and hopefully soon in the next year, I should be back on U.S. soil if everything goes right.
Hopefully. We did discuss this a little bit on our previous conversation and a little bit before we started recording, but can you go ahead and give me like a little bit more information on because you work for you volunteer and you do a lot of work for a very specific organization that both Vice News has done, I'm pretty sure CNN and a couple other people have done both for podcasts and other interviews. So what is that organization?
Yes, correct. Once I got deported in 2016, I didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? You're stuck. You don't have nowhere to go. You're lost. You're lost in a different country, you know. But after a few months after my deportation, I just started Googling deported veterans, and I came across Deported Veterans Support House, which is an organization out of Tijuana, Baja California, made up of deported veterans. I reached out to them, and I asked them if there was any kind of assistance out my way in Juarez, El Paso border area. And he told me negative, but there is a few veterans. And to make long story short, after a few months, we organized together, and we started here the chapter for Deported Veterans Support House Juarez, which we've been active about almost the last 5 years. Myself, I help veterans, deported veterans, file for the VA claims, any any issues. I do fundraisers, give them dry goods, whatever, just donations. We built that brotherhood down here, you know, and it's just to have each other's backs, and we're all going through the same battle, and then just we advocate to bring back deported veterans, you know what I mean? So that's our mission, just bring the brothers back.
And you said, so the original chapter started out in Baja California, right?
Correct. They started about almost going on now. When we jumped on board, they already had been active for almost 8 years, but back then it wasn't so much media publicity going on, you know. Just in the last recent 2-3 years, we've been picking up speed with members of Congress, senators, and other organizations, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then how many chapters are around the United States or around Mexico are there?
We have just within the last 2 years or so, we started a chapter, Deported Veterans Support House in the Dominican Republic. There's at least about a good 15 deported veterans out that way as well. We just help them out from, through Facebook, whatever, to file their claims and benefits. And it's kind of hard when you're outside the border area. So we try to connect with other people in other countries. We're going to have a chapter in Monterrey, but that veteran, sad to say, he passed away that year that we were going to open the bunker, and we weren't able to establish something down there anymore, We also have a chapter in Haiti. We do have other members that basically not chapters, but we do have members in Laura Mesa, in Costa Rica. We just have members all over scattered, really, but the main ones are here along the borders, Tijuana and Juarez, the Deported Veterans Support Houses.
Got it. And that's a little bit enlightening too, because I mean, you would think that with everything with the news that currently is always on repeat, it's not necessarily, I don't want to say it's not surprising, but it's also extra enlightening with the fact that it's like, hey, look, it's not just Mexicans that are being deported. You got people from Haiti, people from the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica. Like, these are all the different locations that just to
even Canada, Canada and Germany and China, you know what I mean? Other places. It's just not just Latin America, it's just everywhere in general,
Yeah, and it really drives a really hard point home, is that the United States military isn't just always made up of, like being honest, white people. What's considered the quintessential Americans. Like, it's literally made up of everybody and anybody from around the world.
Exactly, Guatemala, wherever, all over, all parts of South America, everywhere else, Mm-hmm. That's what makes the military great, the diversity and stuff like that.
It's true. And then let's bring it back a little bit. How about we get a little bit more information about you, a little bit about your background, a little bit about your early life, and then how you came to the States. Where were you born originally?
Originally, my mom was in the States at a young age, and she was pregnant with me here in El Paso, Texas. But she was single. She didn't have nowhere to go. So my grandma and everybody lived here in Juarez. So the best thing for her was to come into Juarez and have me over here. And basically, my grandma raised me for the first 7 years of my life. My mom had gone back to the States, and she was working, just to provide and everything. Later, about close to 7 years old, we got a letter in the mail, saying basically that my mom got married in the States, and through my stepdad, I got basically a legal permanent residency. So my uncle carried me over there with my little backpack and delivered me to El Paso, to my family, and that's where I met my other siblings. I already had basically another brother and another sister, and a younger brother at that time. And so it was like I went from being just the only boy down here to having a family over there. So it was a great feeling,
Yeah, no, it's true. And then around what time was this? Like, around what year?
This was about 1985. I was born in 1977, so yeah, it was about 1985. I was reunited with my family here in the States.
Got it. So you got your family. So your family brought you to the States, just like a lot of us end up being just for necessity, for work, and then as well as just like that great thing about actually being reunited and even expanding your family, which like you're saying right now, it really wasn't always that big, but wasn't always available.
Correct.
So pushing it a little forward then. So now you're in the States, you're stateside, and you said you joined the Army in 97, right?
Yes, in January 90. It was basically the summer of '96, but it was like a delay entry program type thing, and then I had to wait till '97 to actually leave and everything.
Got it. Yeah. So that's still a continuous thing where we're still going through. Like you sign up, you wait, you go through the delayed entry program, and they get you set up with your MOS, your rate, your specialty for whichever branch you go into. So what was your specialty though going into the Army?
Well, I'm going into the Army. When I first spoke to my recruiter, we're a little hardcore. We have that pride, and of course I was like. They said, "What's your purpose to join the military?" And I was up to serve my country and die for my country, And I was like, "I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to join." And then they took me to do the ASVAB test, and I grew up in very mechanically inclined since like the age of 7. I was doing mechanical stuff. You know what I mean? For my stepdad, helping him fix the car and everything like that. So once I did the test, they placed me under mechanical skills, and my first MOS was going to be a tanker, working on tanks and driving tanks, they said. And then, but I had to leave to Germany within like the next 30 days. And because of the delay entry program, I couldn't leave within those 30 days. So they changed my MOS to a 52 Delta power generator mechanic. Later, I found out that was my recruiter's MOS, so he kind of like suckered me into it, I guess, But at that time, I was like, "Hey, I don't want to be a mechanic, I want to be a soldier." They're like, "No, don't worry, you're a soldier still. You're gonna be a soldier,"
That's how they get you, though. That's how they get you.
Yeah, that's how they get you. And like I said, I found out a couple years later that my recruiter was a 52 Delta. That's why I ended up with that job. And I mean, it's something that. I just went with it, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, I'm a soldier, and we're going to do soldier stuff regardless, so let's go, you know what I mean? And I was able to, there's not too many generator mechanics in, like, each unit. There's, like, 1 out of 150 people there, So I guess, I mean, that's basically the Army needed, and that's why I went, I had no choice.
Yeah.
But I guess there's no choice, but I said, let's go, let's roll. So, I just wanted to do soldier and everything. So it was a great military experience. I mean, like in my mind, I was a soldier, and I was a very high speed soldier. Believe me, even in my first unit, which was a maintenance unit in Washington, they even told me I was in the wrong Army, like higher ranking people, because I was too high speed. So they would tell me, "You're in the wrong Army and you're doing too much." And I always went above and beyond, and it gave it all 150%, everything I did in the military.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's a lot. It's a lot we hear, especially with a lot of the minorities that are actually in the military. A lot of them make it into these great positions with a lot of hard work and dedication. So still,
exactly.
Let's sticking a little bit on your military service. Where else have you been? So you already came in. You're already a mechanic for engine. What do you call it, for generators? So what else did you do while you were in the military?
So basically, I went to basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky. Then from there, they sent me to Aberdeen Proving Ground to learn my MOS for 52 Delta. Then from there, they sent me back home for hometown recruiter, and I was able to go like to the mall, to my high school, help the recruiters out, just recruiting, upcoming enlistees and stuff like that, soldiers. And then from there, that's where I got to go. I went to my first duty station was in Fort Lewis, Washington, with 44th CSB, basically a maintenance 542nd maintenance company. I mean, we did a lot of mechanic stuff, yes, but man, it was a high speed unit. We trained a lot of soldiering out in the field all the time, because we were a direct support maintenance unit, so we were always out in the field training, doing just infiltrating camps. We did a lot of high speed training, man. That's what I loved about the unit, and it made me. I was already high speed to begin with, but it made me even more dedicated to the mission. And I was like volunteering for everything. Hey, we got a mission. We're gonna go infiltrate this camp at 1 a.m. in the morning. And then most guys would just be like, now volunteers, step back and be like, oh no, hell no, you know? And me, I was always the first one, like, let's go. What time? 1 a.m, 2? It didn't matter. I was a soldier 24/7, you know? So I basically, I was always, you know, as a minority, we got to outshine some people sometimes because people do look down upon us, like we're inferior and everything like that. So we got that more of our pride and heart, you know, and everything we do to stand out and surpass all that, you know. So yeah, from 542nd, from there, I won a competition. I got to go to Aerosol with attached to Special Forces. They needed some slots and they needed some more people to fill the slots. So I was one of the ones, the high speed from my unit that got to go, you know. Loved it. I got to go to Japan from there as well for TDY, for training out there with the Japanese self-defense force. And then coming back, I volunteered to go to Panama, but I came up on orders to go to Korea. So I ended up TDYing to Korea for my next duty station, and where I was in a signal unit over there with under 2nd Infantry Division at Camp Casey. I was there for about a year. I mean, all we did was there go in the hills, train, you know, simulated battles, and just soldiering, you know. So it was great. I loved it. From there, I re-enlisted to come back to Fort Irwin, California, National Training Center, Mojave Desert with 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment. And there, I mean, it was a National Training Center, Op 4. We were the Op 4, and basically there, we went out to the field 3 weeks out the month, and we did simulated battles with other soldiers that visited us from Turkey or other countries or other places in the States, and it was all simulated battles with Miles gear and all that, you know, all desert battles and stuff like that. So it was a great experience over there. At that time, that's when 9/11 happened. You know, the towers. I was stationed out that way, and I re-enlisted there as well. And I re-enlisted to come back to Fort Bliss, where I was stationed with 108th Air Defense Artillery. We were in a Patriot battery, a unit, a Patriot battalion, you know. You know, that's all we did. Just, even though I was a mechanic, we did a lot of training. We were here always at you know, here in El Paso, there's a lot of desert, so we're always out in the field. Put it this way, even in Christmas, when we were supposed to be at home with our families, we were out in the field, and we would be the only company out there in the field. So, yeah. So I mean, all we did is a lot of training. I was always like, I was also doing funeral details at that time and everything like that. You know, I got to travel to 4 different states, and we were in charge of California, funerals in California, Nevada, Washington State, and I think somewhere in Texas, like almost like the Four Corners region, but like towards the East Coast. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we were traveling around doing funeral details for I think for about 5 months at that time. So yeah, I mean, I was real active into my military. I gave it all, and I ended up becoming a sergeant. I have a few soldiers under me and everything. And I mean, I was a high-speed soldier. You know, everything I did was all for the military. Like I said, I was winning competitions on the best fighting positions, bunkers. I would dig into them books. You know, all the military stuff. That was my thing. You know, so. Man, I had a great military life. I deployed with 108th Air Defense Artillery in 2003 to Amman, Jordan, in direct support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And we were out there for about 5 months. You know, we took over some hills out there, and our mission was to protect any incoming missiles and everything if they were going to bomb Jordan, the Kingdom of Jordan. So we were around basically protecting the king there, you know, in Jordan at that time. and we were gonna move up to the Gaza Strip, but the basically once they got Saddam and all that, then basically our mission was over. They said, okay, you guys are going back. And yeah, we came back to Fort Bliss, and this is why I ended up getting out here.
Dang,
yeah. I basically got out in almost the end of 2000. It was like December, like almost the end of 2003. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, so I ended up doing about 7 years in the military. I was gonna re-enlist when I came back from deployment, but I decided not to because they were trying to force me to do military. They were trying to do funeral detail again, and after deployment, I already had 9 funeral details under me that I buried, five U.S. members, and I said that's it. No, I mean it was already the families and that we presented the flags, and it was already haunted me. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do it no more, so I decided not to do it. They tried to force me to do it, and I said no, I'm out of here. And I ended up having a high UA and got kicked out. General under honorable conditions. They discharged me for a bad conduct, but I was still able to get all my benefits, everything. You know what I mean? Since it was under honorable conditions, they said that the factor that I was a good ass soldier made it possible for me not to get worse of a punishment. And even where I was going through my dilemma of getting kicked out, I mean, I never faltered from my mission. I always gave it 150%, still to the very last day. You know what I mean? I was still getting awards while I was in the process of getting discharged, but they would do it under the table. They're like, hey, well, we can't give you this in front because how would it look? Because it won't look good because you're getting kicked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was, like I said, I was a great soldier till the end. I just didn't want to do that funeral detail. They tried to force me, and I took the easy way out. And believe me, and until right now, I did plan getting out, try to get my head together, and then I was gonna re-enlist actually for like a combat arms MOS or something, and then continue with my career. But then it never happened. Something else came up.
Yeah, no, the circumstances sometimes they're really dictated by the situation, and that's kind of one of the problems too that I've seen being in the military is like there's a lot of wiggle room for misinterpretation, but also like things that shouldn't be handed out to people, especially when it's one of those things that nowadays is being addressed a lot more, especially post-combat deployments and having to deal with the PTSD and then the psychological effect of that traumatic. Just you're burying your brothers and sisters, and that's one thing that they didn't take into consideration. So it's definitely understandable. So this was in about 2003 and 2004, correct? When you got out?
Yeah, it was. This was in 2003, and then I got out in I finaled out in like the end of 2004. I mean the end of 2003. It was all in between 2003 when all this was going on. Deployment, coming back, getting discharged. It all happened within that year.
Got it. So now
They used, I was an NCO, so they said even after they're like, hey, well, we can't demo you now. We got a detail for gun range for the next 4 months, so we're still going to use you. And so they kept me as a sergeant all the way to the very end because they needed my expertise, and I was helping running the ranges and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like
I said, I was a great soldier. It just, I was going through some issues and I just looked for an easy way out,
And now keeping on this portion as we keep going into, like I said, into the main subject of this episode, is now at this point you're already a separated member of the military. What are some of the emotional issues as well as just the day-to-day issues that you dealt with as a veteran?
Well, for sure, depression, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of just of everything, feeling being lost. Like once you get out the military after so long, that's been your life. You know what I mean? Like 7 years, that's like no piece of cake, and you give all your heart to it, you know. And so when you get out, you're lost, you know. You don't know how to fit in. You can't adapt to society, you know. People say, "Oh yeah, it's easy." No, it's not easy, because I put it this way: I couldn't even get a job at Walmart trying to do night stock or stocking groceries at night. I couldn't even land a job there. You know what I mean? I had to opt out for manual labor, building construction jobs, tile, gardening. You know what I mean? Like whatever I could. And a lot of people say, no, these jobs are military friendly. No, they're not. They use that against you. You know what I'm saying? At the same time. So it was hard to adapt. You know what I mean? And then with other stuff that your issues, everything you turn to like everything, you know, liquor, marijuana, whatever else now, you know. And that's where the trouble starts. And we have so much pride at that time that we don't want to go seek medical help. And my mom told me plenty of times, like, go to the VA, tell them that you're having problems. No, I'm good, Mom. I'm fine. And it's just our pride, you know, our machismo, because during our time in service, we're basically brainwashed that that the pain is weakness leaving the body type thing, and then you don't want to go to sick call because you don't want to be you know, labeled as weak or whatever not. So yeah, there's all these things going on, you know, there. So we turn to alcohol and partying, whatever not, and that's when we I mean, not just as a immigrant soldier, but it happens with the citizens, you know. They turn to alcohol, drugs, and we fall into, you know, trouble with the law, you know, eventually.
Yeah, it does happen with any type of service member, especially under such a high stress situation where I know we discussed it previously, is that whole regimental state of always consistently receiving orders or having something to do, being told what to do, and then all of a sudden you break away from that as soon as you leave the military. Like I said, talking to you as well as talking to other people, other friends, fellow service members that have left the military, I talk to them about that, and I try to get a better idea of how they feel emotionally, because it's one of those things that, just like you, just like my friends, just like fellow other veterans and stuff, is I'm going to have to face that as well eventually. But at the moment, I want to try to help out as much as possible. So with that, I think we're about to touch a little bit more on the reason why you got deported. But this is going to be this is going to be the main point on how things occur that end up getting service members deported. So you left the military. What happened?
I mean, for deported veterans, there's many different issues. Drugs, like one of the leading factors is drugs, of course. Maybe catching a drug charge, they catch you with a little bit of marijuana, a DUI. Myself, I went out to celebrate my birthday one day, and the next thing I'm being charged with kidnapping and a firearm. You know what I mean? So I ended up catching a felony in basically a year and a half after the military. You know, and it just happens. Everything happens in like the split of a second. You go out to celebrate your birthday, and the next thing you're wanted for a crime. You know what I mean? Something that was never planned or happened. You know, it just basically a crime was committed. My brother was robbed at gunpoint. He retaliated against these guys, took this guy's nephew, and then and me knowing the guys, and basically I was indirectly involved in this, you know, and my brother told them I had nothing to do with it, but regardless of that, they said there's such thing as aiding and abetting, and they gave me 3 years for aiding and abetting, having knowledge that a crime was being committed, and I didn't report my brother, you know. Then they stuck me with the gun charge on top of that for an enhancement for 7 years, brandishing of a firearm, because my brother brandished the firearm, so they landed on my lap as well, you know. And yeah, I ended up doing I got 120 months for federal prison, federal charges to do federal time. No, 120 months. But I got out in about 9 years. I got 10 years, and I got released in 9 years for good conduct in prison. All I did in prison was study, take classes. There's so much in there you could do, vocational training. I was working in the factory. I worked in the factory for 6 years, doing industrial sewing. And the ironic thing is that for 6 years, I actually sewed the military pants. And it brought pride because it made me feel like I was still in the military, believe it or not, I was dressing my brothers, out there serving the country. So it brought a lot of pride to me. And believe me, anybody bad-mouthed veterans in prison, I was quick to jump. I was like, hey, I'm a veteran. Well, what do you got to say bad about veterans? You know what I mean? And like I said, I would die for my brothers still and serve my country. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. And no matter if I've been deported or not, that's still my country at the end of the day,
Even apart from all this whole situation, it's just like I said, one of those things is that still that honor and that pride that just still gets instilled in us is that even being in a really just, I wouldn't want, even being in such a just arduous situation, that honor and that pride for having being a soldier all those years, just like the Marines, they say always faithful, semper fi. It is kind of ironic going into that and then seeing that other perspective of having been the one wearing the uniform, and then now you were, like you said, you were clothing your fellow service members.
Yes, and just for the low price of $15 a day, 400 pants I was doing.
Yeah, no, that's
for a low price.
That's the federal prison system for you.
Yeah, for a low price. But yeah, man, like I said, it gave me that it made me feel a part of something still, because that was just distilled in me that military stuff. And when I was like, oh, we're doing that's all I did for 6 years, dress soldiers, and I would make sure, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I do this part of the stitch right, because I remember this used to happen, or you know what I mean? I always try to fix things because of problems we used to have with the pants and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah. So I took a lot of pride in doing that, and it made me that sense of belonging still with my fellow brothers,
Yeah. So, if anybody was in the service between 2005 to, you said 6 years, 2005 to 2012, we'll stretch it out that far. If your pants or your blouse never came undone, well, now you know who to thank during that entire time frame.
Hey, I wasn't the only one doing them, but no.
I know, right?
But yeah, no.
No, just keeping it a little light in the whole situation with the interview, man. But
no, yeah.
Pushing forward, this thing is all going on. At what point did you get deported? How did that whole situation after serving your time ended up concluding, I guess?
Well, I was already getting to even I worked in Unicorn till basically the last month before I left, you know what I mean? And then I started clearing the prison and all that, and then the last day I was getting just ready to walk out of a prison, and I asked my counselors, do I have any kind of hold, detainer, anything to hold me back from going home? And they're like, no, you're going home. And so I walked to the front gate, the exit to the prison, and they told me, hold up, you have ICE is coming for you. And the ironic thing, two veterans showed up, a black guy and a white guy. They were transport officers, and they were both veterans. And right away they were like, oh, you're a veteran? I was like, yes. And I told them, yeah, I served this and that. And they're like, oh man, hey, man, you know what, you're as American as us, and good luck with this. We hate this. We wish we could just let you go right now. And they showed a lot of support, you know what I mean? And I was very grateful, you know what I mean? Oh wow, for them to give me that little respect, and I was like, oh wow, thank you, and thank you for your service as well. So yeah, and from there I went to an ICE holding and over here in Houston somewhere, and I found my immigration case not to get deported for about 10 months. basically you're at a standstill. They say you're not under arrest. They're just holding you through the process. But I mean, I never saw that freedom. You know, I was in a cell 24/7 in a room. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, you don't have, and then it's impossible to do anything to fight your case from in there. You know, everything's stacked against you. You know, at the end of the day, no adequate legal representation, no kind of relief. You know what I mean? I know around that time they started doing the veterans courts and all that stuff as well. You know, and like, I guess if you're a citizen, you were getting a veterans court, but if you were just a legal permanent resident, no, you were a felon and you were getting deported. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't have that option. You didn't have the same benefit as a U.S. Citizen. You know what I mean? Even though we're still a veteran, like what makes us so different? You know what I mean? Just a status. It's like a whole other thing. You know? I filed my case for 10 months, and I filed M400 at the time for citizenship through my military service, and at the end of the 9 months, I was denied for lack of good moral character, even though I qualified for everything under the military all the requirements to become a citizen. That's where they got me at for, because of that felony, that I could improve in my life, that I was a good moral character, you know. And yeah, I was denied, and even like the district attorney told me when my lawyers presented my military service to the Department of Homeland Security, the guy, like I said, my faith was sealed. As soon as I went into the first case with the district attorney, just the way he looked at me and everything, I knew I was SOL. You know what I mean? Just the way he looked at me, and just that anger and hatred. It was a white guy to begin with. So the way he looked at me and drilled me with his eyes and the way he looked at me, I knew I was hit, because that's exactly what happened when my lawyer handed on my military service. All he did was say he pushed it to the side and he said, "Your service don't matter to this country. Good luck in Mexico." And I mean, that's the worst feeling ever when they tell you that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, at that point, they essentially made that initial judgment that still happens to this day, regardless of whether you're still in service, you're out of service. It's just that contingent look of having to see what's in front of you, but not really taking into account what the person has done for everybody else.
Exactly. I mean, one mistake shouldn't one mistake shouldn't I'm starting to get emotional, but one mistake shouldn't be I can't even find the word right now.
No, yeah, one mistake shouldn't dictate what happens for the rest of your life, because I mean, like you said,
exactly, man. It's and that's basically the way I saw it. Like, okay, I made it through prison those years. I was just doing school. I was on my best behavior. I was, you know what I'm saying? I was being productive in there. You know what I'm saying? I was supporting my daughter back at home with my prison little money that I got. You know, life continues. You know, and you better yourself. You know, if you want to in there, and if not, then I mean, I got out in good conduct, and then for them to say, "Oh, well, you can't prove you're a good person," like, man, like, really? And all the stuff I did before, you know, I mean, I was a good person eventually, apparently somewhere along the line. And for you to tell me that my service doesn't matter, I mean, I have over almost 9 service ribbons, of 9 medals and all this stuff. And that didn't mean a thing. You know what I'm saying? Even the good conduct medal. And all of a sudden I don't got good conduct, good moral conduct, you know,
yeah.
Like, wow.
No, yeah, and then that's one of those things where it's just like it just seems really counterintuitive to what everything that we were essentially have been told so far about how serving your country, serving the country that you grew up with, that you grew up in, that you helped develop you, isn't a more reasonable thing, that you already sacrificed a lot, just enough to be able to give you for them to be able to give you a reasonable doubt. But that's one of the same issues that still keeps continuing to this day.
Exactly.
To this day. So
exactly.
So touching on that, this is the information that we're trying to get out. So currently, you're already deported. And then you end up finding the information about the Deported Veterans Support House. What do you do with the Veteran Support House, and then what are some of the things that the program, that this organization does to be able to help out our deported veterans, our fellow service members?
Well, not so much like the organization as a whole, because on the real, like, the organization here is just like me and another veteran and like a handful of veterans, and one that does everything. You know what I'm saying? I organize everything, like the day-to-day operations. When we meet up like once a month, and right now, I took, like I told the bunker, you know, when we first going to start, I said, you know what, I don't have money, but I have a lot of time, you know, and we started just advocating. We started just printing out flyers, handing out flyers at the ports of entry, the international bridges, you know. We made signs with the pictures of the deported veterans, bring us home, you know what I mean? One of our first events 5 years ago, it went viral, one of our pictures. I don't know if you've seen them online. You Google Deported Veterans, Ivan Ocon, and you'll find all sorts of pictures. We just started advocating, you know, every Memorial Day and Veterans Day, we sit at the bridge and we set our displays, our banners, and we give a little, we honor our brothers that have died in exile. There's about 18 that have died so far while deported. And the ironic thing is that once they die here in Mexico, then they can come back to the States and be buried with military honors at Fort Bliss, or one of the veteran what do you call it, the
veteran cemeteries?
Yeah, one of the veteran cemeteries. So basically they will honor us in death, but while we're alive, we're still exiled. You know what I mean? That's the ironic thing, you know?
Yeah.
And we have brothers that died for lack of medical treatment, improper medical treatment, you know what I'm saying? Or just, you don't have that financial stability to get heart surgery or a bypass or whatever, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's what our organization, we've been advocating all these years, and with recently, since 2017, we started connecting with Congress members and senators and everything, and then so we have support now, you know what I mean? And we got the ball rolling. We have opened doors for veterans now. Right now, there's one veteran that was about to die down here in Juarez, and we got the VA involved, Department of Homeland Security, everybody, and some members of Congress, and we got him into the States to get proper medical treatment with the VA, you know. And he had a 6-month pass, and we just got it extended for another year, so he's out there for another year back in the States, you know what I mean? And then the ultimate goal is to have them stay there, you know what I mean? And not to get deported anymore. That's the ultimate goal at the end of the day, is to bring back the veterans that we need to bring back, and so they can get proper medical treatment, or just all of us reunited with our families, you know what I mean? That's the goal at the end of the day, just bring everybody back, you know? So the reality is I know certain crimes ain't gonna come back, and but we're ready to deal with that when that comes. But right now, we're just trying to open up the door to make that possible, to start reuniting more veterans with their families, with the help of the union, LULAC, just different organizations involved, Congress people, you know. We started to pass bills with the actions that we created. We started to pass bills. I don't know if you have been seeing, like, they say, oh, well, we're going to stop deportation of veterans, of service members that are still not citizens. Like, we're trying to attack it at the top as well as down here as well, that we're already deported. You know what I'm saying? So we're not just trying to benefit us. We're trying to benefit, like, the whole Latino, the whole immigrant population that is in the service, you know?
Yeah, no, that sounds like you guys are already doing a lot of work. Still continuation from like you said, more than 5 years ago. Because like I explained at the beginning, is that I didn't find out about this whole situation until I was already in the service. I had maybe been in about no more than about 4 to 6 months in after I had already joined the Navy. And it really was when I initially heard that report from Vice News, and it seems like, how is it possible that this whole situation is still happening? And the before we conclude, because this is a lot of information still, but before we conclude, what are some of the other things that maybe you have seen that could help out in any other current veterans or anybody who's active duty who is an immigrant that is in this situation? What advice can you give them?
I mean, hey, get informed. Don't be like us. We're paying that price, now, but be informed and check your status. And if you haven't got your citizenship or nothing yet, man, well, get that shit. Get on that. And because back in my day, I didn't have that guidance. You know what I mean? I went to my chain of command. They told me we don't know anything about that. I went to JAG offices. They couldn't give me no information on where to go. They couldn't even say, oh, go to the immigration services. They couldn't even tell me nothing. And then I deployed and all that went out the window. So please get informed and check your status. Get your citizenship if you can. Don't wait. Don't be like us, and because anything you do, DUI, drunk driving, anything that service members do, you could end up in our shoes, so be smart and get that taken care of as soon as possible. And contact members of Congress and support our movement as well. The bills that they're trying to pass that will help not just only us, but them as well. New Wayward Forward Act, HR 536, Senator Tammy Duckworth, she's a combat veteran as well. And she's supporting this cause, and yeah, we need all the support we can get. We served our country and we paid the price, not just in every way. We paid with our mind, body, and everything, mentally, physically, and we deserve that same right to be in the States with our families and our loved ones, the country we're willing to die for.
Yeah, and then what other supports do you think we could actually be able to provide? Like I said, so this disseminating all this information out. What are the things that you as well as our other service members and any of the other locations for the Deported Veterans Support House can you guys use?
I mean, just like I said, the best thing is contact members of Congress. Just make calls or local advocates. That advocate for veterans. Yeah, I mean, that's the best thing that would help us out. Like a lot of people think, oh, let's donate money to help. No, I'm not worried about the money. I'm worried about the support. Like contact your Congress people, hey, we want to support. Where do you stand with veterans? When you say, let's support all veterans, but then support the deported veterans as well. We're veterans too,
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Well, Ivan, I mean, this has been a lot more extra information, like I said, that we can actually get out to our fellow service members and as well as anybody else out there that wants to help and support. Is there any other last information, any other things that you wanna say before we sign off?
Like I said, right now we also look us up on Facebook, Deported Veterans Support House Juarez, Unified Deported Veterans, Repatriate Our Patriots, LULAC, Green Card Veterans. Veterans for Peace. We just have all this. Right now, we have Leave No One Behind mural project. We've been basically putting murals all over through different cities, different states. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to get the word out there. And you could actually, when you come up on any of the murals, even on Facebook, you can scan the QR code. And you will able to see stories of veterans, like different veterans telling their stories, everything like that, their testimonies. And yeah, that's the big thing, just getting the word out there and keeping on keep on kicking up dust, because if we don't speak up, nobody's gonna hear us, so that's what we need, all the support. Just hit us up on Leave No One Behind mural project, and man, thank you for all your support, and this project is made out of support groups, immigrant organizations, academics, Congress people are involved right now. We're currently working with DHS and the VA to track veterans down, and to pretty soon we're going to be starting the process of trying to bring veterans back as well, through Homeland Security and everybody. So that's what we're doing right now, tracking veterans. And if you're a deported veteran out there and you haven't contacted anybody, please contact us and then get so we could register you. We don't want to leave you behind once the ball goes rolling. Don't be left behind.
No, that sounds perfect. No, well, just to finish it off, thank you, Ivan. Thank you primarily, Sargento Ocon, for your service, for your entire great service to before I was a veteran myself, an active duty member. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to be able to talk to one, a fellow immigrant, two, a fellow service members, but also primarily a advocate for the immigration process and our veterans still struggling through all of this.
No, thank you for having me on here, and thank you for the time.
Well, thank you, Ivan. Well, and other than that, you guys heard it. It's let's try to get as much information. Let's bring our veterans back home, because just like when we were in dire need, they're in dire need. So let's get all this information, get in contact with them, and bring in as much support as possible. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and sign it off right here. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Sargento. And I hope you have a great rest of your wonderful and great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great one.
If you would like to help out in any way, spread the word of this dire situation that our veterans are facing, you can reach out to Ivan Ocon via Facebook at Deported Veterans Support House, Juarez Bunker, or their website, deportedveteransupporthouse.net. You can also follow the repatriation program at veteransforpeace.org. As well, contacting your local representative of Congress or senator to have them be aware of what is happening to our faithful veterans. Let's bring our deported veterans back home.